So today we're going to talk about, once again, git-nostr, which is a tool for updating Git repos over the Nostr relay protocol. It's going to be a long one today. We're gonna talk first about the reason you might want to do take such an approach, and we're also going to talk about, or we're going to try to do a clone of a repo, do a fix, and then publish a patch, sort of as a third party, sort of a spurious developer. If somebody wants to contribute to a project that they don't control, we're going to try to cover that today. So let's start with the reasoning. I, as a developer, have already done some work on a site called cafe-society.news. This is an RSS aggregator that will allow you to set up your own feeds, your RSS feeds, and basically get a newspaper that's pulls sources that only you want. And if you read the newspaper every day, you're also able to train it. For example, if you don't like if you don't enjoy articles about eruptions on the sun, you could downvote it, right? It's not really groundbreaking work here. But the nice thing about this site is that you do it stores the algorithm that you build in local storage, IndexedDB. And you basically, if you want to move off of the Bitcoin, if you want to move off of the cafe-society.news to maybe build your own site, you don't need to necessarily ditch your algorithm that you spent so much time building. You can copy and paste it out of here. So the next step to cafe-society.news is to figure out some way to pass this algorithm back and forth so that collaboratively all the people on cafe-society.news can build an algorithm and improve it, and have just a newspaper or maybe a group that's censorship resistant, and provides the same experience that you would get on maybe a bigger site like I don't know, Yahoo News probably does some sort of an algorithm thing. I've heard that they might be doing that. So that's the specific use case that's why we're building it the way we're building it, and that should be clear by now. If you are not doing cafe-society.news, but there's a couple other use cases. If you want to, if you work for maybe a government organization that's taxpayer funded, and you want to build an algorithm that identifies malinformation, and say you want to send it to a company like Twitter or Facebook or Google, but you don't necessarily want to have to fill out JIRA tickets because reporters will eventually maybe have access to that information and might call you out someday for doing something bad. You definitely don't want that. Like it'll affect elections maybe. So you would use a tool like git-nostr to send in an updated algorithm to that identifies mal actors, and basically control the press that way. So it's a like doing a dead drop basically, but you can, if you do your public keys and cryptography correctly, you can do dead drops and basically not have that information exposed to the world. Also, the tool that we're using for identifying news on cafe-society.news basically that is a Bayes filter. So that algorithm is almost purpose built to identify spam on a network. So if you want to set up a relay and train that relay to maybe kick out, I don't know, right now on Nostr, there's tons and tons of artificial machine generated anime porn, and it's Chinese language. You could probably thumbs down that stuff and train it pretty quickly to just kick all that stuff off of a relay, because it'll improve the user experience and basically cost you less money to run a relay if you set up a tool like this. So if you use git-nostr, if you do train something to identify machine generated anime porn and the keywords that are associated with it, you can then pretty easily share that updated list of keywords with anybody who wants to subscribe to your Nostr public key. So that's what we're doing. That's why we're doing it. So let's get started with the technology and we'll try to do a fix today. Like this will be a typical day for a developer who's developing with git-nostr. So first of all, let's go over what we're planning to do. Drop that. We are going to clone a repo. We're going to, when you clone a repo, you have to know the repo's public Nostr key somehow. And actually, today's goal is to add a functionality for names so that you don't have to know the public key. You're going to be able to search, hopefully by the end of the day, you're going to be able to search by name of a repo, of all the repos that are on the relay that you're connected to. So we're going to clone a repo. Basically, cloning will fetch all the patches that have been published by the repo owner. We're going to take a look at the config settings that need to be set up after you clone, because if you want to be able to submit with your own keys, you can do that, and it's part of the Git off-the-shelf Git config settings. There's this Nostr section. So we're going to add a feature, like sometimes software developers do. We're going to publish the patch to the Nostr relay. We're going to go back to the original, we're going to log in as the repo original owner. We're going to pull that patch because somehow we know about it. And then we're going to publish that approved patch onto the Nostr. So hopefully it'll all work. It might take us a while. So first of all, let's clone this repo. Right now we've got a repo that is called git-nostr. This is the eponymous repo of the tool that we're using, that we're developing, git-nostr. And by the way, for Git, if you create an executable and name it git-something, then if you want to call it, you'll put the executable into your path. As we've done right there. And if you then call git space and this whatever's after the dash here, then Git will just run it. So it's really nicely Git set up to be really nicely. You can plug functionality into Git that way pretty easily. So we've already basically published this. We're going to do it. So we're going to move to a new directory. What do we want to call it? Git. We're going to add a feature branch, sort of add a feature branch. We're running off trunk, but we're just going to do basically a clone of this, and then we could do a fork. I'm not sure. I'm not good enough with Git to know really what the difference is between a fork and a clone, but with the tool, it's going to send a message up to the Nostr relay to say, here's a fork, or here's a clone. And there's a lot of different messages that we're publishing to Nostr. If you look at the README, you can kind of see what types of messages that we're publishing. So you can create an issue, you can create a fork, a pull request, a clone. A pull request, basically, you need to have already created you need to have already created a you would have already run git-nostr publish, created a one or more patches, and that is what there's a manifest that you'll get back after you do git-nostr publish, and you'll run pull request to create a pull request to the original repo using that manifest message ID. So I don't want to get too much into it yet. We'll see it. We'll see it once we get the fix in. So git. So our feature today is git-nostr name. We're gonna add a command called name. So we've created a directory from scratch. We'll move into it and call git init. I can't remember if git-nostr create does a git init. If it does, then we'll just run it. Oh, we don't want to do that. We want to do a git-nostr clone. We're not doing a create yet. Git-nostr create will, it does run its own git init. So we'll just go into a blank directory and run git-nostr clone. So it's going to ask for a secret key probably. So the reason it needs a secret key is that it's publishing a message to the nostr relay so that the original repo owner can run a report to say who's cloned my repo. Just like you can do on GitHub, there's a report on GitHub to say who's cloned my repo. So we need a secret key, and I'm keeping one in the README. So that's what I'm searching for right now. These are just a couple of secret test account, not the README. It's in the testrun.sh. We've got a couple of burner keys. So today we're acting like a developer from outer space. Copy. We're going to copy this secret key. And we need to give it a relay. We've only got one relay that we're pointing to because there's a lot of garbage going back and forth across the wire. So we're running our own relay. It's called, what's that relay called? Git-nostr is called nostr. N-O-S-T-R-I-N-D in.gs. No strings with a dot. Get it? So let's try that. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, we need to give it a public key because where's it going to grab it from? So this is the public key of the original of the repo that you want to clone. And unfortunately, I can't remember what that public key is, but it's in the README, I'm pretty sure. It's in the README. Being very careful. I've got a lot of keys sitting around in different files, and I don't want to show them in the video. Maybe it's in GitHub. That would be ironic, but that's probably where it is. Yeah. Nope. Right. One way we can get this public key is to go into the repo of the source, because we've got it there. It's basically a clone here, and do git config nostr.public key. All right. We can also do git config nostr relay. Or not. Oh yeah, there it is. So we've got a public key here. I'm copying, pasting, copy. Let's see if the clone works this time in the new directory. This is not the fastest way to use Git. Sometimes it's a harrowing wait, but it hasn't failed for a while. All right, so when it basically what it did is went out and fetched all the patches that are stored on a Git relay and ran git am, which I apply message. I'm not sure what am stands for, but basically it takes the patch information and tries to apply it to the local directory. So we did just create this directory, and now if we do ls, we should see all these new files. Yeah, huzzah. So let's go into the .git config. What else did we do here? Remember, we put in a secret key. So that secret key is now part of your config so that you don't necessarily have to type it into unless it really needs you to kind of clarify. This clone source is the public key of the originating repo. The relay is now a setting, as well as the new public key of this repo that you've got, this cloned repo. So this is neat. This is a neat trick. If we go back to Git, the original source repo, and do git-nostr clones, we should see that new public key that we just did. So let's check it. 1E42F1. There it is. So you can write all your reports and try, if you're running a website that wants to look at public Git repos, that's a start. It's a foothold into getting discoverability for your repos. So we've cloned it. Now we need to do let's look at our issues. In here, I think we're going to try to run issues as not the originator, but we're going to be in the directory of the target, the new directory that we just did, and see if there's issues on that original repo. Git-nostr issues. And we need a public key, which in this case, we want this clone source public key. If we didn't put public key in here, it would basically pull it out of the config and pull the issues for our own repo, which there shouldn't be any. So let's see if this goes. Yeah, all right, so we got all the issues for that source repo, and we are going to be working on this issue today, which is name a repo. So I'm gonna cut the video right now so that I can get it going. No, actually, let's just keep going, and I'll upload the video overnight. It's going to take a long time. So if we want to name a repo, so we're in the new directory. Let's see, code. This is, believe, probably funded by GitHub. This Visual Studio Code for now. So the way git-nostr works, we've got this entry. We talked a little bit about this naming convention that makes a plugin essentially for Git. We're going to take the existing list of commands and we're going to make it look a lot like issues. Because when you do a name, all you're doing is posting a message to the Nostr relay to say this is now a thing. Name and names. All right, so there's already a list of commands that we know about. So when we do a clone, let's make it look a lot like clone. Copy. All we really need is a secret key. So it's not gonna, the command itself, the code for that's not gonna work. It's not gonna really, actually it's gonna be, we're gonna probably make it look a lot like publish, because publish requires a secret key, but there's a lot less stuff to do here. So this git-nostr, all it does is it figures out what you want to do and calls the appropriate script. So name. So we're going to make a copy of publish. Git-nostr name. Name is going to be pretty much mandatory on this one for obvious reasons. I don't think we need any of that. So all of these individual command scripts, if you're a developer and you're thinking about adding some functionality to this tool, the pattern is basically we assemble the parameters that have been fed to it, that have been passed through this git-nostr function. Check if we've got, if they don't pass a parameter that we need, we'll check if the config has it. And then if we still don't have it after all that shenanigans, we'll throw up a usage message. There's one usage message for each individual program that we've written. So we don't need this. There's probably, when we get to the bottom of this, one place where we assemble a message and send it up to the internet. Yeah, let's get rid of everything. I almost want to make sure that you can only do this if you can't name somebody else's repo. I mean, it's technically possible, I guess. I mean, why not? But to make it less confusing, I think what we'll do here is just we'll convert the secret key into a public key, and then post a message that basically says this public key is now going to be going to have a name. So let's go find. I know that I'm converting this public key somewhere. Probably here. No. Let's try it. See if it's in here. So if you want to fork, I know we need a secret key for that. Here we go. This is the line that will convert a secret key into a public key using the Nostril tool. Thank you to JB55 for that one, whoever you are. this approach, we want to get a little bit of message. We want to get a little bit of feedback. Did this thing actually upload to Nostr? And this is the event ID, actually, that's what I should call it. We're publishing it, I say message, but it's an event. So we're using Nostril, secret key, kind equals 7777. I'm considering maybe having multiple kinds for those purpose tags that we talked about earlier. But today we won't do that. We're going to go git-nostr name, content equals. Basically, we want to pass a p tag and the actual name. I think that's all we need. Content equals name. A p tag is basically signifies a public key. I think this is all very new to me, but I think if you do a p tag, the relays are going to they're going to index that and allow you to search a lot faster, pull up this stuff a lot faster. All right, so we do not need a commit ID. We do need a relay. We need a secret key. We don't need chunk size, but we need a name. So all of this stuff, let's see, the relay, secret key, I'm pretty sure we're already going to be doing this from the config possibly. No reason not to. So we're going to add at the end of this, we're going to make it so that all you have to do is call git-nostr name and the name. That's what this last thing does. If you only call this, if you call the function with just a value with no dash dash label of the whatever the parameter is, then this is the part that will take that and turn it into always a name. All right, so we've got name. Delete that. So now that we're publishing a name, how do we see it? Well, I'm glad you asked. So we're going to take this forks command. Forks currently is something that will go look on a Nostr relay for messages that have, first of all, a tag for public key. Oh, we forgot to put the tag, forgot to put the public key tag on the name. So we're doing that in fork. So let's try that again. Nostril envelope. We've got a message for the fork. And then this is how we set the name of the, this is how we set the public key tag. Copy. So we've already got the purpose tag in there. We just need to put the p tag in there to All right, so now let's go back to the names. It's going to be a little bit tricky because one of the things that we want to do is not necessarily search for this public key. We want to search all the records that say names. And I don't think forks is, I think forks is broken now that I look at it, because I should be grepping for git-nostr forks in the forks command. And we're just grabbing everything that's kind equals 7777, so that's not going to work. So let's just drop a little bit of code in there while we're thinking about it. We're not going to check it in. We're going to wait a minute. We don't want our check-ins to be too big, but this is not the first time that I've run into this. Clones does it right. All right, so forks. Nostril query kind equals 7777. That first line is good. Second line, do the same thing, except for we should grep for git-nostr clone. Let's see if that worked. Sorry for the digression here. Oh, we didn't break anything. But we've got a good command now. We're going to go for a report on names and get a git-nostr name instead of a fork. So did we run that name? I don't think we've tried to run name, so let's try that. And as I said before, all we need to type in is the name. What do we want to call this? We want to call it git-nostr. Put in some quotes. Well, what did we do wrong here? Invalid command. All right, I'm gonna stop the video, debug this for a minute.